it's 2 o'clock on the wall. I'll go ahead and call the Transportation Policy Committee meeting to order on this Thursday, September the 1st, 2022. Mr. McDonald, will you call, see if we have a quorum, please, sir?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Judge Krebs.
Here.
Mr. Charlie Zahn. Here. Judge Canales. I don't see yet. Mayor Guardo.
Present.
Mayor Scaro. Not here. Mr. Leindecker. Here. Mr. Olivares.
Here.
And Mr. Buckner, who's not here. We do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you, sir. Item 2 is public comment. Is there public comment this afternoon on anything that's not on our agenda? Public comment. Public comment, one more time. Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to item 3, approval of our June 2nd, 2022 regular minutes.
I second.
Okay, I got a motion by Commissioner Zahn, seconded by Mayor Guajardo. Is there any questions, additions to the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, item 4, we'll go into proposed ad hoc committee for the Regional Coordination Group for Federal Transportation Grant Submittals. Mr. McDonald?
Good morning, everyone. It's still afternoon. It's afternoon. So I thought I'd come out here so I can see you all as opposed to be on the side. This agenda item is your only possible action item today. What we had heard from some of you is given that the new federal law, the Infrastructure and Jobs Act, has tens of billions of dollars of grant opportunities for all the local governments and TxDOT and anyone else that's eligible, we thought it's worth your while to have a discussion about forming an ad hoc committee, which according to your bylaws, you can have any ad hoc committee you'd like. We're suggesting that you give us direction today to provide you next month with some of the details of who could be on this ad hoc committee to coordinate all these future grants. Now, if you remember, the new federal law has about 5 years of funding. Some of the local governments have applied for some grants like the RAISE grant or the No and Low grant that the RTA applied for. And we think there's going to be other opportunities for you all to apply for additional dollars. One of the things that we think is really important is to be as competitive as possible with these grants. And so we know that you all look at other grant things, and in the memo you can see that outside of the Infrastructure and Jobs Act, the Texas Coastal Resiliency Plan, they're going to put out millions of dollars that all of you can apply for through their process. As well as the Coastal Bend COG, they have another $180 million on their grant program. And I think up in San Patricio County last Monday, they all formed a committee to look at project submittals for their allocation of 20 or 25 million.
Yeah, 25 million.
A lot of money. So
Right.
I think people want to make sure what you're submitting has got the best chance to go get built. And so in the case of the federal money, we don't get an allocation. You're in a national competition for things as we showed in the example of the RAISE grant, right? So locally, we had 2 RAISE grants go into the same year, same process. And so in your packet, you can see that the port had a RAISE grant for one of their dock projects, and City of Corpus Christi had a RAISE grant for their Yorktown project. And so as you can see on some of these attachments, the first one we put in your packet, and it's online too for those that want to take a look at it. There's so many different categories, and I'm not going to attempt to go through the categories. I know your staff, and we go look at them. But we remind everybody that there's literally tens of billions of dollars available. So we provided the list of what those grants are. We also gave you another version of that, of the types of grants that the federal government is looking for. And as you know, they're putting money out already. And so they announced most recently the 2022 RAISE grants. So I think you can all see this on your screens. So I'm just looking for a head nod. You can see the map of the US?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
As you can see, in the raise grants, most states only get maybe 3 or 4. Texas got like 5 nationally. And so in these grant processes and your MPO staff, we've done this a long time. We've seen federal grants. Sometimes when one city, in this case, submits 2 grants of the same name, the federal government doesn't know what to do with it because they can't prioritize between the 2. So in the experience we have, sometimes those grants knock each other out. They may be great grants, but it kind of throws a wrench into their evaluation. And we know some of the evaluators. And so when they say that there's not a lot they can do, they just move past them. And so if you see, we did the research in the last 8 years. We found maybe one case where a city or a county got 2 raise grants over 8 years. And
Wow.
billions and billions of dollars. So this committee came out from a little bit of that, and some of you have talked to us about, we want to make sure that we're coordinated and timing of these grants to give them the best success of getting awarded. Because there's potentially a lot of money for a lot of great projects. So we're suggesting, at least from staff, that we put together more information. Possible members of this could be at elected official level, could be down to high level of the city, the county, the port, whoever, to sit and talk about these, because they come out fast and furious. And so a lot of these deadlines are like 6 weeks. I think the raise grant, the 2 examples, I think the port and the city had 6 weeks to
Right.
get it together and submit. And that's a little bit of a fire drill for, tens of millions
Right.
of dollars. And so this committee would be whatever you want it to be. We're suggesting it's a start, put the right staff on it, and report back of how things are going. You don't approve the raise grants, you don't approve the other grants, but if there's a discussion about timing, prioritization, or just knowledge, maybe you can join forces on some of these grants and give them the best case of trying to get approved. So that's what we're thinking, that it may be worth your discussion. Staff will go any direction you'd like to do, including never mind, we've got it all covered, to let's try it and see how it goes. As I said, this federal grant, they're here for 5 years, and there's tens of billions, if not hundreds of billions. So we look forward to your direction, and we'll go from there.
How does the committee feel about forming this ad hoc committee? I think that way we can get all the major stakeholders, let them decide and bring it to us,
Right.
and we can work on them.
I agree. I think it's really going to clarify, as you mentioned, not having 2 different entities, right, applying and in essence causing some confusion. We need to regionally look at this and then move forward with projects and hopefully get one of them, with all of us behind them. Yeah,
Exactly.
I agree. I'm for,
Okay, for it.
forming
I'd
it.
like to make
I'd like to make a motion, yes, to go ahead and form this ad hoc committee for a regional coordination group for federal transportation grant submittals. And details would be forthcoming as far as,
We'll bring more details next month.
okay.
Okay, got a
Is there a
motion by,
second? Okay.
okay, got a second by Commissioner Zahn.
I concur. I mean, we had a informal discussion recently about this very issue, and we just think that we have a tremendous opportunity if we stick together.
Together, that's what we
Yeah.
need to do.
And then also, one of the things that we're noticing in some of the specialized grants, I haven't seen the DOTs, but I know like the DOEs, within these grants are tremendous, I would call them almost sub-applications for DEIA, J40, those types of assessment plans that we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
So by regionalizing this, we can maybe help our partners who are going to apply for other types of grants. So you might have, a Department of Commerce grant.
Yeah.
But if we already have a very strong diversity, equity, inclusion statement, then you can use that. Or you already have a great Justice 40, assessment for your areas, you can use that as a template. So
Right.
I think it's great,
Right.
and I
Yeah.
hope that we'll all just, share the information so
Right.
that, again, when we're looking outside DOT, maybe some of the information
Yeah, from the MPO, we're well-versed in the federal transportation grants, but we know the other ones. And all the new requirements, and as you say, I mean, the federal grants are trying to be as broad as possible. And so in your packet, you see the Texas winners of a raise grant. So when we read it, it's like reading the application, right? They said this phrase, they used this term, and so they did all that. And so for transportation, that's good, but these programs go beyond transportation because they want to bring in equity, they want to bring in health, they want to bring in other things. So we think with the collection of your folks, they can bring that broad spectrum of thinking toward it to make sure you covered all the bases. So it's not just transportation, it's whatever the grant program wants.
And finally, I know this is probably too soon, but maybe not for staff, maybe for the committee, but there's an October, call it mid-October deadline for reconnecting communities.
Yeah.
Under DOT, you all maybe just knowing that this committee's gonna get formed, maybe staff can look at those.
Yep.
I realize that we have 5 years, but I also realize that
It-
it's the early bird gets the worm. I really think whoever is most prepared to submit.
Yeah, opportunities are going to be almost
Okay,
monthly.
opportunities there, so we'll do,
What recommended as people start to engage.
All right.
So whoever comes in first, I think wins.
it's, right.
Just look at the October numbers. I think that you'll see that there's a couple that are so perfect for our MPO. And I'm reading some of these memos, they're even perfect for these memos about corridors expanding due to housing. I think that could maybe, get us started.
It's right, okay.
Okay.
Yep, good.
Any other comments?
Yeah, Judge, my only comment on the transportation side, I think it bodes well for the region, for the area, when it's a unified approach, because if we're requesting recommendations from the Texas Department of Transportation,
Right.
that's happening across the state as well. So it looks better if we come to the state as a coastal bend, as a region.
Right. Agreed.
Okay.
Okay. You wanna vote?
Judge, I just got a text, you might turn your microphone on when you talk.
I think it is on.
First time they say that out loud.
Okay, but somebody can't hear you. Okay.
We'll do the audio test. We'll get it
There
right the
you
next
go.
time. Thank you all so much.
All right. Okay, any other comments? Because I got a motion and a second. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay. Going into item 5, information items. First of all, 5A, we're going to have the Harbor Bridge update. Mr. McDonald, you want to lead off, or you want Valenti to go ahead and take it?
Yeah, I'll just cover what was in your packet, certainly online, and what you have in front of you. What we wanted to do is give you two things, put it a little bit in context. As a policy committee, you've approved a decade worth of items related to the new Harbor Bridge. So we put that as an attachment in your packet just so you can see all the work that you've done or your predecessors have done. So as the MPO policy committee, you're engaged with this project from the beginning. The second attachment we have in there, and it's literally 2 days old, for the Corpus Christi District of TxDOT. The Texas Transportation Commission 2 days ago approved the $85 billion 10-year transportation projects. And in your packet is what we have for the local district. Now, of course, Valente's district is more than the MPO. So we've got about 2 counties and you have 10. And so that's everything in his district. So when you see a freeway widening, well, that's not in the MPO, but it's in the district. So we wanted to put that in context that there's hundreds of millions of dollars over that 10-year plan that are going to be done. And so those are approved. Those are now ready to go forward. And so we just wanted to provide that context, and this item is for TxDOT to take it from here.
Mr. Oliveris, yours.
Thank you, Robert. I was going to save the UTP discussion till the end, just as comments, but let me just start with that, just to mention, we had a very good commission here in August where the UTP was approved, which allocates construction funding towards our plan, right? Statewide plan, $85 billion of construction funding. And Robert is correct. I think the amount that was allocated to the Corpus Christi district is one of the highest across the state for an urban district. And many of you have supported or been a part of the I-69 alliance groups and trying to get more money towards construction funding and design for I-69. And in this UTP, you'll see that there is a hefty dollar amount on US 77, and specifically Refugio and Woodsboro, which we've done some planning in the past, which we haven't been able to get money for that until this UTP. So I think there's been a very large investment from our commission on I-69 corridor through the Corpus Christi district. So again, thanks to many of you who have supported that, and as your voices have been heard. So I want to make sure I put that in context of what the UTP is. So I'll start with a letter actually on Harbor Bridge that I just passed out in the dais here, and I'll read this letter. This is from our Transportation Commission Chairman Bruce Bugg. So if you remember, we've said in the past, as far as TxDOT, our executive director, and our commission, that any overruns on due to the Harbor Bridge, overruns and corrections of errors or delays or whatever it may be, that we were not coming back to the locals for any of those direct costs. So they've heard it from us, but we've also had a request, well, we need to see that in writing, right? So this letter is to our state delegation, and I'm bringing it here to our MPO because we had some funding from our MPO and the locals that are here in front of you today towards the Harbor Bridge project. So let me just read this letter. Dear Senator Hinojosa, Representatives Hunter, Herrero, and Lozano, I write to reiterate and affirm to you and the Corpus Christi community the commitment of Texas Transportation Commission and Texas Department of Transportation to complete the Harbor Bridge project as quickly as possible while ensuring we see it through safely and with the highest quality standards. While the project has undertaken challenges, the Commission is committed to the current multi-party funding agreement and the public statements by TxDOT leadership that no additional direct costs for project changes and delays will be sought or required from our local government partners. As we move forward, we are committed to keep you and the community engaged and informed. Thank you for your leadership and interest in this important project for your community. If you need to contact me, it goes on for contact personnel. So the gist of that, again, confirming and reaffirming, putting in writing about the overruns being borne by the state of Texas. Okay, so I'll move to an update on the Harbor Bridge project, and bear with me because I think you know how dynamic this is daily for us, especially within the 15-day cure period that we've been in. So the last time we spoke, we had just given a notice of default to Flatiron Dragados, the contractor on Harbor Bridge. We told them they had 15 days to cure the non-conforming items that we had for the Harbor Bridge. So in that time frame, which earlier this week, we received multiple correspondence from Flatiron Dragados, and as well as direct conversations with top management or top executives for Flatiron Dragados' parent company, ACS Group. These conversations indicate a new direction from Flatiron Dragados in their position and in their tone of how we are going to address these issues. It seems that they are coming into alignment with TxDOT's demands. Now, I'll say that if you remember, our demands were resolving the non-conforming items, right? We have non-conforming items on the project, and we need them to, one, have a safe design, safe bridge, and that's accomplished by resolving these non-conforming items. So solutions were provided, proposed solutions were provided to TxDOT this week, and actually we are in a meeting currently. Our bridge division and engineers and independent reviewer are currently in a meeting with Flatiron Dragados and Arab CFC reviewing these solutions that have been proposed. So again, that's pretty dynamic. I expect other meetings to occur after this, but they are currently reviewing those solutions that have been proposed. And the other demand we had, right, was take responsibility of this design and the costs associated with design. So again, every indication as far as communications that have occurred this week lean in that direction. So we're feeling pretty confident in that, but we don't have the written confirmation yet. So I don't have that in front of me to share with you today, but again, this very dynamic. We're waiting for that written confirmation from Flatiron Regalos and ACS. This is the first time ACS has really gotten involved with this project. Again, that's the parent company for Flatiron and Regalos. I'd make sure we don't lose sight on this does not resolve the issue, right? We're still in the middle of it as far as the solutions and the responsibility. So what we have right now, we still have our default, our notice of default that's in play. We're not removing that until we've given enough time to look at these issues and actually investigate and see if they resolve what's in play. So because that notice of default is still out there, we, TxDOT in the background, are preparing just in case we do need to give an event of default to have other contracts for design and emergency construction work in place to jump in and complete the work. So again, you've heard it from us in the past. We're committed to finishing the work, either with this contractor, which so far is looking promising, but absolutely with anybody else to make sure that if we do go through event of default, that it's completed. So that's where we're at today. I don't know, I'll take any questions you may have.
Okay, we'll take any
up here.
questions from the committee here. Any of the media that's here, I mean, after the meeting, if you want to talk to any of the committee members after the meeting, you'll be more than welcome to. But right now, we're just going to concentrate here on the committee members that we have present. So any committee member have any questions of Mr. Oliveros? Okay, go ahead, Judge.
Thank you. So, it sounds like we've made some progress, but because of the 15-day expiration, have you been told that there is a new deadline in order to take what looks like they're leaning into Texas way of thinking, so that we'll have a new benchmark, if you will, in other words?
Have her turn on her microphone.
It sounds encouraging, but it would be better if we knew that they would have to comply with the written agreement, let's say, within the next 30 days.
I'm so sorry. I'll repeat. I do apologize. My question was, it sounds promising as it seems that about your report that they are leaning in to TxDOT's way of thinking, I think is how I put it. But I also know, given the 15-day expiration, it would be nice to say that there is a time frame that has been set so that conversations can move to written certainty or written confirmation. What do you know about that, or how could you expand upon that? You think there will be a timeline set?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Right, because we want to finish this project timely but safe, right? So the discussions, we feel like the due diligence is required for the options that have been presented to us. However, that doesn't mean we take months and months in this review. It needs to be a short window, and we're giving ourselves a few weeks to make sure that those discussions get to where they need to get to very quickly, and culminating with a formal agreement between both parties, right?
Okay. One last question. One of the opportunities when you get to renegotiate that is positive is that we've had a lot of time to think and reflect upon ways to enhance other concerns that are as simple as wayfinding, let's just say, under the Harbor Bridge currently, particularly as it applies to what I call the North Beach sector, all the way to a potential discussion of access and potential redesign for what amounts to critical mass on areas like that are touristic, like North Beach.
Yes.
Would there be an opportunity to have those discussions as a part of a comprehensive solution?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. That's and Judge and I have talked about that in the past, and I think Mayor and City Manager as well. The wayfinding signs, because of the detours that are out there on this project. So we were prepared to take care of that if we had gotten into a event of default with emergency contracts. But if we do not get in event of default, that is part of our discussions moving forward, as well as drainage and roadway detours and everything else that affects the driving community. So it's not just the bridge, I think, more comprehensive look at completion of the project.
Okay, well, thank you. Any other committee have any question?
No.
You have any?
Dan does.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Jordan.
Chairman, if the positivity does not conclude positive, as we're talking about here, do you have an estimated timeline beyond that on bringing on the new designers and contractors?
So first, we'll give this opportunity, as you mentioned. We
Yes,
got to make sure we go through this opportunity, and then you heard last time from us that the surety will be involved. If we need to get our contractor in play, I think what we've discussed is having 3 different contracts. One would be an emergency contract to take care of any items really securing the area, traffic control, signage, pavement, that needs to be taken care of quickly. And then we envision 2 separate contracts, one for roadway interchanges and the main span bridge being separate. So that's currently in play, preparing for that if it does need to occur.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah,
Okay. Any other questions from the?
No. good.
Okay. I don't hear any other question from the committee. Well, thank you, Mr. Oliveros, for that update. I know you're going to keep us up to date as whatever happens out of this meeting, probably next week sometime, we should be hearing some information from you. So we appreciate that, and thank you for the update again.
Yes, Chair.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Chair, is it all right that we publish at this time? I can pass it to Mary Esther. This is the letter that we were handed, and that way she can hand it to the media. This is the letter that,
Our PIO will be handing it to the media.
they're, all
Yes.
right, okay,
Yeah,
great.
that
I just
should
want to
be
make
out.
certain that you all have this, because this is the letter that does guarantee in writing that our financial obligation has been met here at the MPO, regardless of what decisions are made. And I think that's what one of the main concerns were. So I just want to make sure that everybody gets a copy of this letter. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
And Valenta, thank you for supplying that letter, because that was a direct request, and that was something that everyone was very
Yes.
adamant about seeing it in writing, so we appreciate that.
Yeah. So just to be clear, it's nothing new on the support side. This is what we've been saying all along. What's new is that it's in writing for us, here
Right.
for the MPO and the elected officials to
Right.
have in hand.
Exactly. Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead and go into item 5B, performance measures and updates. Mr. McDonald.
Thank you, Judge. I'll do this one here, but maybe the next one over there, so I keep moving. This information item is really to give you a preview of what we're going to be tackling in the next couple months, over the next 6-8 months. If you recall, and we outline in the memo, with the new Infrastructure and Jobs Act, there are requirements to do project evaluation. And so when projects come into your process, and we have dozens of projects that'll come into our 25-year, 10-year, and 4-year process, and it's worth billions of dollars, so not a small amount of projects. But under the rules for the federal funds, we need to do something and adopt performance measures. And so in the memo, we outline what you've already adopted. And so the link in the memo takes you to the existing 4-year plan, or that transportation improvement program. You adopt over the year performance measures 1, 2, 3, and others come in. So I just want to highlight some of those, and the schedule on the first page of your packet cover memo. You'll probably get something next month through the technical committee, and then back to you all. I'm going to guess not next month, but probably in November. Some of these performance measures, the state looks at these all the time, and they publish their recommendations on performance measures. So MPOs nationally, and there's 400 of us nationally, either the MPO adopts, supports the state performance measures and all the work that they put into it, or the MPO can develop their own, which is a large undertaking. So our MPO has adopted the state and supported the state performance measures since we can remember. And so we're looking to probably this year do that again. And so in your subsequent meetings, we're going to be bringing the performance measures of safety and looking at the different other ones for, I think the biggest one is safety. And on page 2, we give you the statewide numbers on fatalities. I mean, everyone really looks at, how bad those numbers are. But we also, for putting in our local MPO context, we give you the fatalities of our MPO area. So statewide, they're in the range of 4,000 statewide, but we're down in the 30s, 35 to 39 fatalities, which is entirely too many. So when we look at performance measures and safety, we're going to bring back a lot of things for you to talk about that. Now, after the performance measures are done, whether it's safety or looking at some of the pavement and bridge conditions, well, we want to look at the whole system, as far as what's the condition of the bridges and the pavement system, and TxDOT reports that, and we support those recommendations of performance measures. And then going through the tables, again, these are what you've already adopted. We look at system performance and we look at freight. So performance measure 3, it shows you what the current guide is of what we look at. So we run it through your technical committee. We look at what TxDOT has done in their statewide plans, and then we bring it forward to you all. Now, the other component is with the CCRTA. So when transit, they have to do a safety plan, and they have to do what we call the TAM, or the Transit Asset Management Plan. So when they update that, we bring it here and you just adopt it. We don't make them do a new plan, we just say, what's your current plan? And so when those get updated, we'll bring that, and we'll bring all the performance measures together in that 4-year document, and then eventually the 25-year document, which we'll talk about on your next item. So again, no action today. This is just to give you a preview. You can start seeing the language we're using on performance measures. We'll feed you, monthly or every couple of months pieces of this. So your next approval is probably February or November, depending on the updated information. So that's just an update on performance measures that you all will adopt in the next few months.
Any question, Ms. McDonald, on 5B? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and go on into 5C, the 2050 MTP update and process review. My gosh, 2050.
2050, I know it's.
We got to count.
Let me get to the microphone. There's quite a bit. So let me get to the right memo, so at least you have it on your screen. I know performance measure is a lot. All right. So for the long range plan, I have my prop today. Over here is your current 2045 long range plan, where you allocated $4 or $5 billion 2 years ago. It seems like 2 years ago. So a lot has changed in 2 years. You all approved this just before some pandemic. So that was a good, fortunate timing for all of us. So that shows all the projects we're going to do in the next 25 years. Now, we're not so good in knowing that that's it. We don't have to look at it again. We update this every 5 years. So, Judge, what's the readout on that clock in front of you?
Let's see what we got here.
It's a little interactive.
826 days.
So we have 826 days to develop your 25-year plan for 2050. It seems like that's a long time. Well, as you saw with performance measures, as you know, project selection, just think of the Infrastructure Jobs Act grants. I mean, those are spinning continuously over the time we're going to develop this plan. So when we get revenue forecasts, which is a big part of this plan, we're expecting that to probably double of what you had before. So when you go from $4 to $5 billion to $8 or $9 billion, that's a lot of projects. And one of the projects that's not in that plan is the Harbor Bridge. That's $1 billion that you have more billions that you've allocated. Now, we wanted to show you a few things. The federal government, when they give us money to do all this, they specify what you have to cover. So we've got to have a financial plan. We've got to have a plan that has performance measures. So when projects come in, we have to evaluate them. And so whether they're a city project, a TxDOT project, We bring them all through the process that you'll be part of over the next 826 days. And we plan to have this adopted by you all in November of 2024, just before the holiday season. Yeah, about 2 years from now. And so one of the things that we'll do is, as we did last time, we bring it to you in chapters and sections. We're not going to give you this document and say you've got 30 days to look at this. We're going to bring it piecemeal. Now, some of these piecemeals, and on your screen in your packet that's online as well, this is a sample of the first few months of what we're going to do. A few things I want to point out that we're going to get into. One of the things that, for the planners and some of your staff, we're going to look into 2050 and tell you how many people are going to live in the two counties. We're going to say what jobs are going to be here and where the jobs are going to be. And so we pull down all sorts of information. We develop a whole plan of what we call a small area forecast, and it's really interesting because we bring in all the information from state demographer, from people that develop water plans, plans that the port has or the RTA has they're doing a service plan update now. So we bring all that in. We bring in the airport master plan. We look at all the growth plans that everybody has, and we stitch it together from all the work that you're doing. We don't make you do new stuff. So we bring it together and we bracket it. And so we say, okay, we talk to Chamber, EDC, we go out to the public and say, what do you think we're going to be in 2050? Are we going to be 1 million people, or are we going to be somewhere around 600,000? So of that, we then break it down into 800 different zones, so we can then run some forecasting of what the transportation needs going to be for transit, roadways, and all the rest. Another major plan that we're going to do is a safety action plan. We are developing now a state-of-the-practice software, where we have the software, the company that developed it. So in the next few months, we're going to provide to you a safety plan that's going to look at all the accidents for the last 5 years and give some ideas for everybody to try and address fatalities or serious injury accidents. And so the software is really good, and we'll bring that to you separately. But we're going to have a safety plan. We're also going to look at a new pedestrian and bike plan. Now, the federal government calls it a number of things: non-motorized and bike plan and pedestrian. So really anything that's non-motorized or micro-mobility, the folks in DC have great terms. They keep changing them. But in essence, it's everything that's non-motorized. How does that work? And so we're going to bring you a plan over the next year and a half, 2 years, of what's the bike system that Portland's going to have or the city's going to have here. What about the county? So we're going to bring that all the way through your process as well. So nothing to approve today except to give you a heads up that our 826-day clock is started. And so we hope to bring you things over time and not overwhelm you with hundreds of pages of time, but you'll have a chance to look at the draft of the documents and then approve it. And then if you remember, we had about 14 chapters last time. We would bring you 1 or 2 chapters a month, but we'd give you 2 months to look at it. But even at the very end, you get a chance to resort the projects, to make sure everything feels good. And so you get a last opportunity to say, these are the projects we're going to spend our $6 billion on. So we look forward to the process. You're now on the clock. Feels like an NFL draft. So.
Okay, any comments or questions of Mr. McDonald on 5C? Okay, here none. Thank you, Mr. McDonald.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go into item 6. We do have a couple of items to take care of here. First of all, I would like to read a resolution of appreciation in the memory of Lloyd Neal, and then get approval from the committee to approve it, and then we'll get it to the appropriate at that time, okay? Whereas Judge Samuel Lloyd Neal Jr. became a member of the Corpus Christi Metropolitan Planning Organization and governing body, the Transportation Policy Committee, on April 24th, 1997. And whereas Judge Samuel Lloyd Neal Jr. was a member of the Transportation Policy Committee as mayor of the city of Corpus Christi from April 24th, 1997 through April the 4th of 2005, then returned as Nueces County Judge on January 26, 2007 to December the 6th, 2018. And whereas Judge Samuel Lloyd Neal Jr. demonstrated statesmanship, leadership, professionalism, and guiding the City of Corpus Christi Metropolitan Planning Organization to higher levels of excellence. And be it hereby resolved that members of the Corpus Christi Metropolitan Planning Organization Transportation Policy Committee, the Technical Advisory Committee, and the staff express our sincere appreciation for the leadership of Judge Samuel Lloyd Neal Jr. for the 19 years of dedicated service to this region. Unanimously adopted on the first day of September 2022 at the Transportation Policy Committee meeting of the Corpus Christi Metropolitan Planning Organization.
I'll second.
Okay, I got a motion by Commissioner Zahn,
And I'll
seconded by
second.
Barbara Canales, Judge Canales, excuse me, to approve. Any discussion, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Okay, it's carried. Okay, Mayor, I think you have a couple items you want to bring up for us.
I do, thank you. So there are two items of particular interest to the city of Corpus Christi that I'd like to, for the committee to consider. You're getting some maps passed out that you can reference. The first is improvements to Saratoga Boulevard from Old Brownsville Road to Highway 286. The second item is the improvements to Rand Morgan Road from I-37 to McNorton Road. And so let's start with Saratoga Boulevard. So what we're trying to do here is preempt issues with what's to happen here. So during our meeting on August 30th, the City Council approved a request to rezone a property located at 602 Saratoga. So this is a 255-acre project. It's a planned development for roughly 1,100 homes, a huge development. And we're elated that this is on the west side because it's desperately needed. So we're very excited about this. West Oso School District is very excited about it, but we do have a problem, and that's traffic. So this is, the traffic there is not, I'm sorry, the traffic is looking to pose a problem, right, for when this is developed. So I wanted to bring that to our attention, and a recent traffic impact analysis that was done also shows to prove that there is something that needs to be done. We do need to improve and accommodate for the growth in the area. So currently, I think you all know the Saratoga, it's a 2-lane rural roadway. And so to maintain the level of service after the subdivision is developed, we'll need to widen the road, medians need to be installed, and intersection improvements with turning lanes would also need to be added. So I just wanted to let everyone know that I want to put this on the radar because this is something that's going to be very pertinent to the growth of the city in that area. And we have spoken with TxDOT. It's a TxDOT maintained road, and it was agreed upon that the MPO is the best funding source, to be considered for this project. So the second project, which is utterly more important, is Rand Morgan Road. Valencia and I have had discussions about this, and City of Corpus Christi recently did as well, including the ISD. So the council requested that communication be open, and it was. There was good dialogue between the entities considering Rand Morgan Road and basically improving that as well. So currently, Rand Morgan from I-37 to McNorton Road accommodates traffic from 5 different major residential developments and the Tolosa Midway Intermediate School. In addition, more development is expected to this area. So unfortunately, the road has not been modernized to facilitate that particular growth. On Monday, the 29th here of this week, city staff did meet with TxDOT to discuss improving the road. This included discussions on widening the road from 2 lanes to 4 lanes, improving drainage, and constructing sidewalks to accommodate for pedestrian traffic. City staff and TxDOT also determined that the MPO would potentially serve as the best source to find the funding for improvements for this project. So I just wanted to make sure we put this on. Again, Rand Morgan Road is probably a lot more, it's in desperate need of some alleviation of the traffic and and the improvements of the road. So I wanted, again, just to put this on to make sure these are considered for action in the future by this body. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, you're welcome.
Any other committee people have any comments of interest? Okay. Moving on into item 7, I think you got a listing there of the meetings that are coming up. The Regional Traffic Safety Task Force regular meetings is today, I guess.
Yeah, for your calendar consideration, I didn't I didn't know if you were going to get to it.
Yeah, right
Your
at the
meeting
end.
on October 6th.
Right, I'll get to it and we'll see what we
Okay.
got. Okay, I'm just listing the meetings that are coming up. The Technical Advisory Committee meeting is next week, September 15th, or 2 weeks, I guess. Our next Transportation Policy Committee meeting is scheduled for October the 6th. We have a major conflict. I think Mayor Guajardo, Mayor Scarrow will be at the TML meeting.
Right.
Judge Canales, you and I will probably be at our TAC meeting, Texas Association of Counties meeting, that week too as well. So is there a problem of moving our next meeting to October the 13th, which is the following Thursday? Any problems with it? Okay, we're good.
Okay.
We're good to go for it on October 13th. Okay, seeing nothing else on the agenda, I'll get a motion to adjourn.
Could do it.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those
Aye.
opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Adjourned at 2:45.